Welcome back to Lost in Roshar, the ultimate journey through the Stormlight Archive. I'm Christian Cremling.
And I'm Jimmy Stormbloods. Today we are coming at you with a Spanreed exclusive episode because, well, at this time when you're listening to this, Christian is actually on a great voyage and having tons of fun.
I shall return soon.
Yes, and so we're recording this Spanreed episode to fill the week until we get back to do some more preview chapters. So, Christian, my question is not how are you? Because I've already asked you that today. How do you think your trip's going right now?
Well, I think I'm hopefully still alive because this is how my brain works. It's like if I'm going on a plane, death is imminent. I'm just going to schedule this upload and it'll be like a eulogy.
I love that so much.
The last thing he did.
I love it.
Answer some Spanreeds. I don't know, man. I'm an anxious flyer. I get on that plane. I'm like, goodbye.
You get anxious, huh?
Yeah, I do.
So you wouldn't be a windrunner.
Nothing a few sleeping pills can't fix. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be a windrunner. I would be firmly on the ground where nothing can go wrong.
Where Cremlings belong.
Yeah, exactly. Cremlings weren't meant to fly, and I'm okay with that.
You know, I respect that, actually. I think that's a noble thing of you to understand your limitations and not say the oaths, you know, just say, not for me, man. I'm going to be like Adolin and be in the jackets.
Yeah, man. That's fine by me. I maybe when I was little, I want to be Kaladin. I want to fly. No, too risky. Turbulence. Windrunners don't talk about it. How are you with flying? Do you get turbulence and you think this is it? Or you're just like...
I always kind of hope that the plane will go down. Like, I kind of honestly, like, I always sit in the back of the plane. So I can...
Just with your fingers crossed?
Well, yeah, and I want to watch everyone else go before me.
Oh, my God.
Because you're going to go nose down. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, I'm not listening to this when I'm on the plane.
Oh, wait, yeah, you're actually afraid of flying. So this is...
this is terrible for me. Because this is my experience. Like, turbulence starts, and you know how everyone's heads are, like, moving?
Yeah,
it's perfectly synchronized, and everyone's just watching movies totally fine. And I'm like sweating. I'm like, this is it. This is it. And then, it passes and I'm like, oh, what's for lunch? And I'm fine.
Every time I hit a bump, I'm like, oh, this is it. I won't have to worry about bills or taxes anymore.
No. The dichotomy of
the long
Jimmy
sleep.
And Christian. The long sleep.
Hey, if you descend rapidly, you'll black out anyways, bro.
Oh I can't do this conversation. It's going to send me into an absolute spin, dude.
I mean, this time of year is very known for... just kidding. Christian has both hands on his top of his head.
Freaking out.
He's legitimately freaking out.
I have arrived at my destination and I'm alive and well. And I'm eager to report back to the hive mind once I return.
Are you going to be reading the preview chapters while you're there? Or are you going to wait till you get back?
No, I'll read them. It's a quick little thing, isn't it? These chapters are so short. They're like 20
and
minutes
it's on your phone. Like, you can literally just go to the website. And I mean, hopefully the website's better on the phone than it is my desktop. But yeah.
I just didn't want to record. It's like I just want to
no.
Be away from the world, escape a little bit, come back with a few stories and a few kilos and get back to it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think you're having a great time right now, and you're thinking, why do I even do a podcast about Stormlight? I think that's where you're at right now on your vacation.
No, I'm still on the plane that's going down. Thanks to you. That's where I'm at in my head. That's where I'm at.
I'm gonna just be waiting. I'm just gonna be waiting.
You're gonna be tracking my flight.
I am. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna call the pilot just to see if he can mess with you a little bit.
No. Stop. This is not okay. I'm dead serious.
I am harassing Christian currently. All right, so let's get into a span read. We have one here from Philip, and Philip wrote to us from his work email on accident. So now we know where you work, Philip, and I will be getting you fired on Monday. I plan on calling it. No, I'm just kidding, of course. But it was kind of funny to be like, whoops, that's my work email. So it happens to the best of us,
Yeah, a lot of people listen to us at work, I found.
Oh, yeah, commutes. I mean, that is the function of podcast, right? Is to make the mundane less mundane. And actually, funny enough, that's how Philip starts out his email. He says, hello, Jimmy and Christian. Love the show, and you make my commutes so much better. Thank you.
Thanks.
Theory time. Spoilers for book 5. That's how good this is.
Ooh, okay.
Confidence.
Oh, I see. I like
A
that.
lot of confidence coming out of the gate here.
Uh-huh.
Ishar, who we talked about in our last episode with the interlude chapters. Ishar, effectively a high ideal bondsmith with his honor blade, can steal any Spren's bond as seen in Rhythm of War. Similarly, we know that it's possible for a single person to have more than one Spren, as seen with Testament and Pattern. The book 5 climax is going to involve Dalinar swearing an ideal and taking every Radiant Spren bond in the vicinity, networking all of their capabilities and becoming a sliver of honor by how invested he becomes. There are additionally some cool effects from the different Spren interactions that will come out of here. I'm thinking like Shallan's projection of Stormfather's view on a 3D map, but more combat oriented, and this will lead to an awesome fight scene Brandon talked about. To also talk around the Sunlit Man without spoiling anything, Dalinar taking these bonds may lead to a certain character in the Sunlit Man having a different type of Spren than they do in the Stormlight Archive. Keep up the good work on the show, Philip. This is a confidential email. Oh, wait, no, that's his work email tag. Okay, dude. So we need to make a decision, and we probably should have said this before we started, but like, are we going to talk about the preview chapters at all in this episode? Or are we making this open for everybody?
Probably should have talked about that before we recorded. I think. How about we just timestamp it? I'll timestamp each span read if it has.
Because some of our span reads are about the preview chapters.
No, let's just talk about the previews. I think we're on a roll.
Like, plus when people listen to this back, like after book 5's out, like why wouldn't we want to make it relevant? So if you're not here, if you're here and you have not read the preview chapters, you might want to head out starting now, because I'm going to immediately dive into something. So Ishar, effectively a high bondsmith with his honor blade, can steal a Spren's bond as seen in Rhythm of War. For some reason, dude, and I don't know why, but that Kalak interlude that we read in the preview chapters, and the dagger, and the idea that the dagger might be untrustworthy, and I'm sitting here like, could that dagger also have that same function?
To like just kind of accumulate Spren bonds and retroactively like use them?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just thought that this was very interesting, because we just talked about Ishar and that death rattle being his potentially.
Yeah. Well, Philip has reminded me that Sanderson said he's written his best action scene ever in this book, right?
Big.
And I was like, I mean, what Philip wrote about Dalinar like bonding like however many hundreds of Spren in one single moment, and all the implications of such an event.
I don't know if this is. I think this might be right. I kind of like this.
Well, he did say spoilers for book 5. The man knows what he's talking about.
And this was sent to us before the preview chapters, by the way.
Oh, was it? What a legend! Well, that's
what I'm saying. We started reading it, and I'm like, I can kind of see it going this way.
See that? I like the idea. Like, it's a fantasy book, and Sanderson's a gamer and all this, so it's like, oh, we got a power scale. Let's take away all the bonds. All your Spren are now gone, and Dalinar. He loves a good Dalinar's very OP for 5 minutes scene. He could do it again.
Yeah, and that's kind of my question is like, do you think that we see this big power spike and then some kind of fallout where it like resets? Like me and you've talked about Stormlight not
the big reset.
Anymore. So we see this big Dalinar moment and then maybe something goes awry or whatever. And then, we get this huge power scale of like what's possible. And then it gets muted down to like the Dark Ages, essentially. Yeah,
that's what I would love to see that, to be honest.
I agree.
Because I'm like, I think back to the Way of Kings a lot, and I miss the grounded vibes, sometimes. I'd like a little bit of a soft reset. So cheers, Philip. That's a great little potential scene that might play out.
Succinct, to the point, and honestly, very well thought out. I liked it quite a bit. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm going to read a span read here. This isn't a theory or a question or anything. It's just one I really, really liked. And it comes from Katie. And she says, "Hi, Christian and Jimmy. I am listening to your podcast while I reread The Way of Kings, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I want to let you know that you have at least one listener that isn't in your usual demographic. I am a 69-year-old woman who has loved fantasy ever since I picked up Tolkien and Ursula K. Le Guin in my junior high library. Keep up the good work. I love you guys, Katie." Katie,
Oh wow. Thanks, Katie.
man, I love this so very much, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about the fantasy genre is that it captures the imaginations of generations, decade after decade, and even with fantasy changing, and there's a lot of people out there say, well, the old stuff's the best, and all this new stuff sucks. Same thing with music, people do. But we have someone here that has been reading the classics for a long time. Ursula K. Le Guin's amazing, by the way, and is still able to enjoy new age fantasy. And I always think that that's just such an optimistic view. And we're super happy that you listened to the show and that you're enjoying Stormlight, Katie. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I thought we'd read that for a minute because I remember I showed that email to my family when we got that. I was like, look how cool what I'm doing is. Look how awesome this is. I was like, that totally made my day when we got that span read. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that is pretty cool. I love it. So Katie, thank you, and we appreciate it. Now we're going to move on to one from Danny, and this one is a little bit interesting. Okay,
bit spicy,
a little spice, and remember, this is written before the preview chapters. Just I'll let you guys know. Yeah, I'll let you know if it wasn't written.
Okay.
I'm kind of jumping around in the box. I'm not sticking to 1 month because we have like a year's worth. Yeah. So Danny says, hey guys, glad to hear you back in the rhythm. I've missed being misplaced in Roshar. Last week, in describing Jasnah's death, one of the Ghostbloods tells the other to put a thin metal blade through Jasnah's heart. Having just finished a reread through Mistborn, my Kremling senses went crazy.
Ooh.
The Ghostbloods are from Scadrial and the very home of the extreme piercing fanatics, the say it.
Hemorrhagy. Yeah.
Thank you. Were they trying to kill Jasnah, steal her powers, or both? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my God.
He said, okay, so I actually don't think that's what they were trying to do, but it did make me wonder, would there be any powers to be gained by spiking a radiant? I mean, the powers more or less come from the Nahal bond with the Spren, right? Yeah. But it still got me wondering. And this is ironic because Felt has just been exposed on Roshar.
They were. Who sent this in? Who was this?
This is Danny. Danny S.
Danny's back and he's killing it.
I mean, this was written before the preview chapters, and now literally we just read last week, or last episode, it was today. Yeah. Last episode, we read the fact that Felt is someone from Mistborn World.
Yeah.
Is here.
I mean, this is 100% that was spiking it. I've never. Oh, man. We're going to do span reads more often. What's going on?
Yeah, I know, right?
Thin metal blade. That seems so on the nose now, doesn't it? But I guess maybe it's earlier in the Scadrians visiting Roshar because, like spiking a radiant, I don't know what that would do. Or maybe just to keep an eye on her. Well, it's a big spike. I don't know. But it's spike. pretty cool. Yeah, and look, they probably haven't seen many radiants at this point. We're very early on. So it's like they go to spike her and she disappears. They'd be like, oh, we are not ready. We are not ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big what?
Yeah. Because unlike people from Mistborn, you can't just like hop into Shadesmar over there. I don't think any ability lets you do that over there. You've got to kind of go to a portal of some kind. Whereas Jasnah's just like, I'm out. See ya. Very cool. Love that.
Yeah, I mean, it could end up being absolutely nothing, but it's just ironic. Again, pre-chapter releases, and then we get this, and it's like, well, hey, maybe you're onto something.
Oh, Jimmy with the Spanreeds. You're great at curating these.
Well, I'm flying by the seat of my pants here.
Oh, who's next?
Mark from Salt Lake City, Utah, says, hi, guys. I'm months behind you on the podcast. After discovering the show this past spring, in episode 24, you asked if anyone found the podcast straight from Spotify as opposed to YouTube, and that describes moi. He didn't say moi. He said me, but I wanted to add some flair. Okay. I had never heard of either of you, which is shocking for how famous I am.
Yeah, that's a bit of a weird thing to say.
Right?
I think everyone knows.
I can't even leave my house anymore.
Jimmy.
Yeah. It's a real problem. But in my explore links in Spotify, it brought up the Lost in Roshar podcast. I was in the middle of doing some major landscaping projects and needed something long form to listen to. I was also deep in my reread of Stormlight as I prepare for book 5 to be released and thought I'd give your podcast a try. I've really enjoyed your discussions and rereads, even if some of your conspiracy theories get pretty far-fetched at times. However, that doesn't detract all. I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah, that's weird.
However, that doesn't detract at all from the show. It's funny to hear you guys go off the rails the way you do sometimes. The podcast has helped me realize bits and pieces of information about Roshar and the Cosmere that I had previously missed. I love it. Cremling, power forever. Mark. Mark, thanks for that. Again, no theory, but just sometimes.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice hearing a little bit of positivity because every now and then we get a big dose of negativity. Like, Jimmy sucks. I wish Jake was the host. Like, those kind of emails.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, it's he's just, you're wrong. You're wrong. Shut up. Stop talking about that stupid theory. And I'm like, no, Felt is a Kremling.
Or a lot. I think I'm not going to harp on the negativity, but there is a lot of there's a lot of people who do not care for the first 10-minute catch up where me and you are friends. They are not big fans of that.
Stop being humans. Get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, there's a skip button.
Honestly, just go to ChatGPT and say, make a podcast episode about this chapter. Then you'll get the podcast you want. But we have a thing called banter.
Yes.
And having fun. But thanks, Mark. I love hearing where people listen to the podcast. I've said this before. It's somehow makes it real. Once you tell me where you listen to it, I'm like, oh, this is a real thing I do. That's cool.
Sometimes I forget people are listening, and then but I always remember because Christian cuts out all my good bits. Like I had just an amazing bit earlier, and it'll never see the light of day.
It will never ever see the light of day, mate. You'll thank me for
it. Probably actually. Okay, so this one is from Lincoln, not Abe. That's the first name, Lincoln.
Oh, I gotcha.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this podcast. I've been gearing up for a deployment with my military unit, and I've been preparing for the release of Wind and Truth by binging the entire Cosmere. This podcast has made it so much more fun. Now to my theory. You mentioned a few episodes back that the moons are probably important, but yet unmentioned. Anyway, my theory isn't totally complete, but here are the bones, and I hope you guys can correct or build upon it, or just tell me I'm completely stupid. We would never. It says, cray Stormlight theory here. Number one, we know Odium is not native to Roshar. Interesting. Mm-hmm. 2, we know a Splintered Shard will seek to form power. Number 3, we know that there are 3 pure tones of Roshar. 4, we know that there are 3 moons, green, blue, and purple. 5, Odium is red/gold, not purple. Number 6, the Unmade are not subservient to Odium. They are either affect both sides and are able to go against Odium, like Sajaz Anat, which I always mispronounce. Based on this, I believe that there is a shard that either splintered or destroyed before Honor was. They're likely responsible for the old magic, which doesn't have superset rules, and the Unmade. I believe this shard was likely whimsy based on the unhinged old magic and the whimsical tones of Roshar that Wit taps into. Let me know what you think.
I was very concerned about where this was going, but Lincoln's brought it back. Wow. And I just pulled it up as you were reading it. It says, crazy theory, need Jimmy's thoughts. So I'm just going to sit back and let you take over, mate.
I do think that the whole like green, blue, and purple is interesting, seeing that Odium is red, gold, and not purple. Like, okay, I kind of like that we're playing with colors here. Colors can be
the moon
important.
Connection's very, very compelling. Wow. Okay. And Whimsy is the last shard we haven't seen, I believe.
So I think it might be Whimsy.
That's very cool that the old magic could be behind. And that's a really sick theory. I've never heard that before.
Wait, could Whimsy be the wind?
I mean...
Sure, right? Sure. Why not?
I guess it could. Yeah, I guess. Whimsy's riding Wind and Truth. No, I really like the color connection because Odium's red and gold, not purple. That's really dope. And then, yeah, wow. It's funny because I haven't heard this before, but I read every Spanreed. This one's from like August.
We get quite a few.
I forgot about it. That's really, yeah. I'm basically sold on that, Lincoln. You got me.
I'm just trying to think of like cultivation playing into this with the millennia of planning, and
it seems like there would have been maybe a little bit more clues. Like, okay, the moon is cool, and the old magic is another clue, but like, there's no other sort of trace of whimsy that I.
3 pure tones of Roshar. Yeah, but tones, right? And then the musical
is whimsy
like
musical?
And all the whimsical tones of Roshar that Whip Wit is tapping into. I mean, we're making some connections here that we don't might not have pure text for, right? Like we're describing it, but I don't know. I mean, music without a doubt is going to play a role.
Yeah, it's like you can't connect the tones and the music of Roshar necessarily to any of one of those three shards. It fits more with Whimsy, you're right, but yeah, that's a pretty great theory. I
mean, and he's right. It's not completed.
Yeah.
But there is some stuff here that we haven't considered fully. And I don't know if all of it ties in together, but it's at least compelling to think about. So good stuff, Lincoln. I like it. I'm sure that's going to begin other Spanreeds. Like other people are going to mail in about that. I think that's going to happen. And also, yeah, you should. Damn it. Lincoln, good luck on your deployment, by the way.
All the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now this is spicy one. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
All right, Jacob R, also known as Two-Eared Jake, which I don't know what that means, but I kind of love that.
Wait, also known as what?
Two-Eared Jake is how he signed the email.
Two-Eared Jake. Is that because of? Oh, is it because of Earless Jacks? Is that an Earless Jacks reference? If so, he's an absolute legend for hopping.
I love that. Okay, so check this out. It says, "Hello, fellow bridgemen and bridgewomen."
I love it already. I love
it. Thanks for carrying. He didn't say bridgewomen. I included that because I'm awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for carrying this bridge of theories so we may cross these chasms between books. Off to a hot start. God, this is.
I love the role playing elements.
I just hope no one I know listens to this. I think.
We're deep in the woods.
Deep. It's deep. All right. I think you have helped me land on the truth, and all in capital letters, truth of the wind.
Okay.
Listening to you guys talk about the epigraphs of chapters 3 and 4 of book 5 got my mind churning. So here's my crackpot theory, Jack. Because chapter 4 epigraph talks about the wind speaking to and then being abandoned by humans and singers and some worshiping the storm. I believe that as the Stormfather is only part of honor, the wind may be as well, or strongly related. Like the Night Watcher was brought by cultivation, so that the wind was brought by honor. I believe Rays, or Odium, suppressed part of honor, the wind, and that ended up killing him. And Odium used the corrupted Stormfather to help. I think this works with the Stormfather looking extremely sus in the prologue, including seeing the future. I also believe this... This is crazy. Yeah. I also believe this split the human and the singers, as the humans began to worship the storm and the singers didn't, so they turned to Odium to be their god. So with that, I'm thinking it's all leading up to uniting the humans and the singers to face the coming invasion, then finally in Kaladin uniting the parts of honor and taking up the shard as a Knight of Wind in truth. Bro,
whoa.
This is so interesting because you pointed out something in the interludes last episode where you were like, what's this whole thing about there still being a tingling of honor? Like honor honor still has like power.
Yeah.
Well, the wind is obviously alive and well. And if the wind is a piece of honor,
that's maybe what he was talking about. Honor's touch lingers, the wind.
Yeah, and it's lingering around Kaladin in his POV.
Yeah. Ooh, two-eared Jake.
So he's got a lot going on between those two ears. Big brain stuff right here, man.
Brain. Hey, man, your friends should be listening to these banger theories.
Of course.
Man.
What do you think? Also, you believe this split the human and the singers as the humans began to worship the storm. This is interesting because wasn't there something in the preview chapters where they talked about the storm, like worshiping the storm?
Yeah,
or was
that's what he's talking about. Like, the epigraph says about
so that's where he's pulling this from.
Started to worship the new storm. Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, he tied in the corrupted Stormfather into this, dude.
Yeah, the fact that we've got like this is trying to give an answer to the Susfather in the prologue is great. And I kind of get why, like, the only gap that I'm not bridging on this bridge of theories is how he says that Odium corrupted the Stormfather. But when does the Stormfather, like, come back to normal? There's no explanation for that currently. you know.
Yeah. I mean, I like that we're trying to answer some of these questions because these are the big outstanding questions that I do think these will be answered in book 5. At least like the Stormfather stuff will definitely be answered in book 5. I might be wrong, but I feel pretty confident about that. So I like that it's all kind of tied in here. I'm
because he says, I'm looking at the epigraphs. It says, "The wind told me before she vanished that it was the change in Odium's vessel that restored her voice." So that showed that
Odium.
Yeah.
That helps the theory, right?
Yeah, it does a little bit, yeah. Because Odium did suppress the wind. And then but like that was kind of made null once Taravangian took it up.
Oh my goodness. And this ties into the fact that Odium. Oh man. Okay. Man, we get some heaters tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if you're just like scrolling and playing Spanreed bingo, or you really just got to.
I'm kind of reading, like I'm just looking for keywords, like Jimmy's great.
Yeah, I noticed you picked Jimmy must read this one. I know it's that one.
It got my attention. What can I say? The clickbait worked.
Yeah.
Well, that's a phenomenal one by Two-Eared Jake. And once again, I think this is going to have a bunch of spin-offs. I think we're going to probably see some emails coming in about this one because this one's good. The really good Spanreeds end up on Reddit. I don't know if you know that.
A lot of our... Look, I've stopped lurking on Reddit too much because lurking on any social media site is a quick way to corrode.
You're always going to find someone that hates you. It's not very fun.
But I did notice for a time there, like we'd bring up something neat on Lost in Roshar, and then suddenly on our Stormlight Archive, it's like, hey, has anyone considered this? And I was like, aha!
I love it.
Interesting.
I love it. I think it's cool.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think it's a positive. I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad that it spurs conversation. And for some people, it's like mind blowing, like the difference in text between the books about the description, like that blew people's minds, which was really cool. And that was a 100% Lost in Roshar original finding, by the way.
Yeah, the
that was organic.
That's one of my favorite little moments. Sorry you weren't there, Jimmy. If only you'd show up.
I was, I think, in Ireland or something. I was doing something cooler. I just don't remember what.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were just on a work trip, mate.
Yeah, well, that would not have been very cool.
Do you dare do the urgent message to the horde? Is there time?
I think we can. Where is it on my screen?
Near the top, second from the top.
Oh gosh, man, this thing. Okay,
we don't have to, but it just takes me back.
No, this is the main event. This is the main event.
All right,
guys, you got to deal with my dyslexia.
Okay,
as I try to do this. Who's this signed by? The fourth horde of the fourth strain.
Okay, this is straight from Roshar, mate. This is
all right.
Hot off the press. You're so exacerbated.
This is. I might have to break this up in parts. I don't. I
mean, I can read it if you want. If you want to just kick back a little bit.
Let's see if I can do it. All right, from Beryl. To all hordes who receive this message, multiple reports have come in from the holdings amongst our strain bearing bad news. While we cannot make out the finest of details, we are starting to put together some patterns that seem troublesome.
Ooh.
With the most recent news of Ishar, a herald on Roshar, holding back madness of other heralds, it has brought into light one of the death rattles we were once thinking resolved. The burdens of the nine become mine. Why must I carry the madness of all? Almighty, release me. And we talked about this on our last episode, actually. So he goes on here and says, we've considered this reference to be the herald stuck on Braze, which is Tom, bearing the burdens of the nine heralds. However, one of our younger hordes has stumbled across a troubling idea. While Tom did indeed bear the burden of the nine heralds, he in truth bore the burden of 10 heralds. However, now as Dalinar Colin seeks to repair the Oath Pact, there are but 9 heralds remaining. If the burden of a herald can indeed be assumed, as the reports from the Cremlings following Kelek confirm, then there's a strong possibility that this death rattle is yet to see its conclusion.
Fantastic.
Okay, so far, this is all straight facts, I would say, and kind of how we were thinking before we read this email. So this is cool. Now he goes on. There's more. As our Rosharian hordes will know, the title of heir to Irithiro has been offered to Kaladin as he sets out on his quest to levy the burden upon Ishar. Kaladin, the greatest fighter on Roshar, one of the closest to swearing the fifth ideal, one born of honor and touched by odium, was offered the crown in case of Dalinar and Navani's end. Were this a story, perhaps it would be foreshadowing. However, as even our youngest have witnessed, reality is never so kind. We
love this little moment of
very well written.
Yeah.
We worry that Kaladin Stormbliss, child of Tanavas, rider of storms, and champion of the wind, may swear his fifth ideal, resulting in assuming the burden of the 9 heralds. Swearing of this ideal may bring clarity to Ishar during a confrontation of theirs, in which he may have but a moment to pass over the connection he has been holding for each herald, sending Kaladin to damnation, bearing the burdens of the 9.
Oh, so it's a flip. It's not Ishar, it's Kaladin.
Ooh, whether he swears the standard fifth oath to become protection and assumes the 9 mantles of the Oath Pact, or he swears his own ideal to accept protection and assumes the 9 mantles of the Oath Pact, trusting his friends will save him, the result is the same. With the current rate of Alethi progress, we estimate it would take them 10 to 15 years to figure out how to get Braze to rescue Stormblessed. We worry that even with his 5 ideals, the trauma experienced during this time will take another 5 ideals to recover from, and he will be unable to serve in any capacity needed in future conflict. With Dalinar having accepted his fate to be Odium's servant, but bound by the Shard of Honor, which he currently holds, and Adolin and it says Shaman, but I imagine it's supposed to be Shallan, still being stuck on Scadril as expected, this would leave Navani as Queen of Irathiro, Mother of Fabrials, to elevate the Alethi amongst the stars. Ooh. She was able to build the 4th bridge in 1 year without help of the sibling or true understanding of the most powerful of Fabrials. It will not take much for the Mother of Fabrials to reach the stars if it means bringing back her children. Oh. We expect that Sephandrius.
Yeah, that's Wit. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. We expect Wit to have left Roshar by this point, and for Shallan and Adolin to return at some point, meaning there are no conflicts with Fortune. We advise all hordes to prepare for our Rosharian brethren to follow Kaladin to bear witness, the 4th horde of the 4th strain. All right, dude. All right, bravo. First off, bravo. Beryl, what an email. Yeah. I mean, really well written. It had good pacing. Like, I'm very impressed. It had good pacing. It was 3 acts. There was 3 acts, dude. Dude, this Kaladin twist is absolutely awesome.
That would be crazy. Yeah, like this moment of clarity. Ishar's like, "You do it, man. You take this on," and Kaladin's like, "What?" And then, wow.
And then he ends up being the one to hold the Oath Pact.
That would be a huge. That would be so depressing. And then I love at the end of the span read, it makes like a whole bunch of assumptions about the rest of the book.
Yeah, that we're going. I mean, really about Arc 2, right? Or Era 2.
He's like Dalinar, bound by the Shard of Honor, which he currently holds. He just drops that one in real smooth. Like,
yeah, and also Shallan and Adolin are gone. Right,
yeah,
they're off world.
Yeah.
Navani, Mother of Fabrial, basically sends the Alethi in a spaceship. I mean, this is insane.
Way off the rails at the end.
What in the
like, it's so grounded at first, but like, I was fully invested with a capital I, some might say. Look, Navani taking us to the space age. That kind of checks out. Man. To save her children. Yeah.
I think it's great, man.
I mean, a glorious Spanreed. One Spanreed to rule them all. Look, Giancarlo, this is a plea, mate. You've got some competition, and we want to see what you got next.
I want to see more of this.
yeah. Look, it's good to hear from the 4th horde, from the 4th strain. I'd like to hear from other strains in the future. It is quiet on the Kremling front over here. Lots of regular old people span reading, but the Kremlings are a bit lazy, and that's, it does happen. I might throw in one more if that's all good, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
A real snappy one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just find. Oh, that's not snappy. That's like 6 pages. Not that one. Oh yeah. I'm gonna because this is like a Jimmy-esque question, and I feel like you're more qualified. Okay. This is from Brett from Pennsylvania, with Sill being capitalized in Pennsylvania. We appreciate
Nice.
the attention to detail. Greetings, audio Cremlings. I'm a podcast listener and have really enjoyed listening to your recap during my days at work, tending to the rock buds in my client's rock gardens. Storms. I'm having a hard time being as eloquent as some of the other Spanreeds in past episodes. I do apologize for placing you right after the most
Yeah, wow.
glorious
Christian.
but Brett,
Wow.
you're killing it. Pennsylvania. No, you've earned my admiration with that. But I do want to ask, would it be possible to make a list of book recommendations or books talked about on the show? When I'm browsing the fantasy section in Barnes and Noble, there are certain authors or titles that seem familiar to me from you guys mentioning them, but I can't seem to remember if the boys from Lost in Roshar talked about them or not. Either way, love the show and keep up the great content. Thanks for everything you do.
Well,
Yes. I think it could be a chance for us to rapid fire off some Lost in Roshar recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: not everything that we say is going to work for you because I don't know what you're really into. Like, a Stormlight is many things, right? So I can't just say, "Oh, this is just like Stormlight. You should check it out."
Yeah.
But there are plenty of fantasy series that I have fallen in love with. I'm going to pitch my YouTube channel here, which is the Fantasy Nutwork, Nuttwork. It's a pun on network. No, it's not. It's bad. It's not a good name. But the Fantasy Nutwork, I have almost 5 years of videos talking about fantasy books and other books as well, non-fantasies. And you can probably get a better idea of if that book will work for you. These are going to be rapid fire suggestions, right? Mm-hmm. But if you want to hear more about those books, almost anything that we mention here, I probably have a review or a discussion for on my channel.
Yeah, Jimmy's the goat of fantasy online discourse, in my opinion. And anytime I have a question about a fantasy series, Jimmy's the first guy I go to hear about it. And especially because like our tastes line up really well. So talking to you will pretty much guarantee me if I like your take on it is probably going to line up with how I go with the book too. Funnily enough, I kind of have the same thing to say as Jimmy. Like all my other things I read, I'm like, I don't know if like I'd recommend this to a Stormlight fan, but then again, I'm a Stormlight fan. I just sometimes feel like an outlier in the Stormlight community. Like, but we're also so tied up in this online world. We can feel like the hardcore 1%ers are the whole fan base. But look, read Joe Abercrombie, he'll change your life. Read Attack on Titan because it has lore and world stuff that's very like similar to like Stormlight-esque twists where you think you understand the world and then you absolutely don't. And you know what? The biggest crossover between like Stormlight and other things I read, I would actually probably say is One Piece. If you want a grand adventure with lots of different magical things going on and like foreshadowing that pays off 10 billion pages later, you'd probably like One Piece as well. So I don't think you're really asking for manga recommendations, but I'll throw out a few as well. Otherwise, hit up Jimmy's channel.
Building's great.
Yeah, hit up Jimmy's channel. The man knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw out a couple. Okay. I'm going to tell you that you should check out The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. And it is not complete, but each book kind of has its own tale, so they wrap up very well. I think that it's a fantastic book, beautifully written. I, of course, always recommend A Song of Ice and Fire. I also am a big fan of Robin Hobb if you're really into like slice of life. I always call it's not epic fantasy as much as it's an epic slice of life. And the epic things might happen, but they're nowhere near to the scale of a lot of other epic fantasy. But you will feel everything that the main character feels is told from the first person perspective. Outside of that, I'm going to throw out this really random suggestion. And I'm trying to push this one because I actually think it's one of the most underrated fantasy series I've ever read. And that is The Dagger and the Coin by Daniel Abraham. It's about a teenage girl who just happens to be a prodigy when it comes to banking. And then there's kind of like the past prime mercenary guard type character that ends up crossing paths with her and kind of being a guardian for her. And then you have one of the best antagonists I've read in fantasy and really good women characters. I don't know why I said women instead of female. That was weird. I just came out wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know. But it's a really cool series that does a lot of stuff outside of violence to be entertaining and to resolve conflicts. And I think that is really, really interesting. And I think it's just really well done. So it's like 5 books. They're smaller. But I think the Dagger and the Coin is really cool. It is methodical and very slow, especially book 1. But if you can get through book 1, I think that you would find the book 2, 3, 4, and 5 are just absolutely excellent. The character work is crazy over the 5. And I really, really suggest it. Plus it has dog people. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
And you won me over at just got to get through 1 book, because most fantasy recommendations is just read 6 books.
Yeah, and I like book 1, by the way. I think book 1 is very good, but I do know a lot of people rank book 1 a little lower than the rest of the series, just because it's an intro and he introduces you to the, it's like Way of Kings. Like, the detractors of Way of Kings always say, oh, it's too slow and it's stupid. Well, let the man cook. You got to give him some time.
Yeah, rock stew wasn't cooked in 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
I love it.
He put everything in. He let it marinate for a little. You can't rush that. But yeah, some book recommendations from us. Otherwise, hit up Jimmy's channel.
For sure.
The man, he's got a wide catalog.
Whereas
I'm just like, these series are cool because I like them. I'm not great at articulating that. But yeah, guys, thanks for all the Spanreeds. I mean, there's still so many more to go, but I suppose let us know if you like the Spanreed episodes. I don't want to just use them as a crutch to be like, oh, I'm away, we'll do a Spanreed ep. I quite liked that, actually. That was good to just...
Oh, yeah, it's very fun. It's just there's always something to be doing and covering, and we don't want to just throw them at the end of it. We do throw them at the end of episodes, but we don't want to do it and just not have any... You know what I mean? Like, just do it to do it. We want to do it when we have time, and we're willing to engage and stuff, so...
Yeah. Know that if you're not getting responses from us, just... watch an episode 6 months later. We might be reading it out live.
We'll read them way out of order too.
But it's all over the shop. But as always, guys, thank you for accompanying us on this episode of Lost in Roshar. Remember, the most important a chapter can read is the next one. We'll see you next time as we catch up on all the stuff we've missed.
Yes, and if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave us a review on whichever platform you listen on. And if you have questions or theories, read us at lostinroshar@gmail.com. We'll see you next time on Lost in Roshar, and remember to keep that safe hand covered.